What's up, fellas? I am honestly, on a scale of 1 to 10 of being a mess, I'm at a 57.3. Gotta make sure my pimple's covered up. Yeah, I just popped a pimple. Not smart because I had to film this. Throwing the headbands on. Today we are talking about Esther. So Esther, it's 1 out of 2 books that are like titled after woman, like based on woman. So I mean, that's a 10 out of 10. So we're gonna go through Esther for every Wednesday for the next 10 Wednesdays because there's 10 chapters. I love the book of Esther because first off, Esther didn't make the greatest choices. Like, let's be real, she made bad choices, and so did her uncle, like, or second cousin, whatever their relationship is. Like, honestly, Esther's quite a mess, but in the end, she uses where she's at to bring glory to God, which I think is so cool because, you know, we all don't have those perfect lives. Obviously, no one has a perfect life. How I see Esther's life and how she doesn't wait for her life to be perfect to impact the kingdom. Like, she impacts the kingdom from where she is. And, you know, not the best place again. Like, yes, she made some poor choices. Yes, it was not, like, it's not the most biblical way to live your life, like, by no means at all. But then again, none of our lives are really the biblical way to live our life. Like, we all mess up. We all have stuff in our past, in our present, or that will happen in the future that obviously don't bring glory to God. But through Esther, we can see how she still brought glory to God from where she was. And shocker, shocker, this is in the book of Esther. That's in the Old Testament. It's like right after Job. Is it right after Job? No, it's right before Job. I hate when I do that. So right before Job, after Nehemiah. That's a win for this t-shirt from 1605, I guess. Just kidding, he's not that old. I love it. It's so comfy. It's a good shirt. I also think it's cool is that Esther, like, I looked up her name because whenever I think of Esther, I think of, oh shoot, what's the movie called? Orphan. The movie called Orphan, because the girl that was like psycho and actually was like a 45-year-old woman inside of a 14-year-old's body. That movie, Orphan. And she gets adopted by the family and like falls in love with the dad and like wants to kill the mom and the little boy and the sister that's deaf. Oh, I'm not about it. And like the treehouse catches on fire. Anyway, so whenever I think of Esther, like before I knew Jesus and like before I actually started reading this Bible a couple of years ago, I thought of that. I hated the name Esther. I was like, oh, freaks me out. I remember me and my friend Daniela Rizzo would always talk about that movie and how much it freaked us out. So I looked up the name Esther because I kept getting that visual of like this girl from Orphan, like as I was reading, and I was like, oh no, I can't do that. So I looked up the name Esther, and in Persian, it means star. Stars like come up a lot in the Bible, like just for a few examples, like God promises Abraham, I'll make sure your descendants are as numerous as the stars. Like when Jesus is born, the 3 wise men follow the star. Like it's just, there's just a lot of stars in the Bible. I just think it's cool that her name is Star, and like she actually was literally a star when it come, like, because she did, well, I don't want to give it away, but she is a star, remember that. We're gonna stick to chapter 1 today, no spoilers, no nothing. We're gonna go through. Today we're not talking about Esther at all. She doesn't come up until chapter 2. So chapter 1, we're going to talk about what's going on in Persia, what's going on with Xerxes and his castle, and just like how this whole scene is and how Esther even gets sucked into this story. Little background of this book. So right now King Xerxes is the king of Persia, and this is 483 BC, so 483 years before Christ. So is the Persian Empire under the reign of Xerxes. Persia, back then, this empire that Xerxes is ruling over is Turkey, Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, Jordan, Lebanon, Israel, and then it's parts of Egypt, parts of Sudan, parts of Lebanon, Libya, and parts of Arabia. So the Persian Empire is huge, to say the least. Like this, I mean, Persia, like, you gotta give it to them. They pretty much had most of the known world. On the other side, we have Greece. So they're kind of in constant battle with Greece during this time. That whole battle is going on, all that ish. And Greece, to give you more perspective, they're about to celebrate their 79th Olympics at this time. Esther chapter 1, let's get into it. This is verses 1 through 3. It says, this is what happened during the time of Xerxes, the Xerxes who ruled over 127 provinces, stretching from India to Kush. At that time, King Xerxes reigned from his royal throne in the citadel of Susa, and in the 3rd year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all of his nobles and officials. The military leaders of Persia and Media, the princes and the nobles of the provinces were present. We have King Xerxes, and he's throwing a banquet for all of the high up. So like the military leaders, the officials, like the government people. He's just having a big giant party banquet for those people right now. This is 4 through 9. For a full 180 days, he displayed the vast wealth of his kingdom and the splendor of glory of his majesty. When these days were over, the king gave a banquet lasting 7 days in the closed garden of the king's palace for all the people, from the least to the greatest, who were in the citadel of Susa. The garden had hangings of white and blue linen, fastened with cords of white linen and purple material to silver rings on marble pillars. There were couches of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, mother of pearl, and other costly stones. Wine was served in goblets of gold, each one different from the other, and the royal wine was abundant, in keeping with the king's liberality. By the king's command, each guest was allowed to drink with no restrictions, for the king instructed all the wine stewards to serve each man what he wished. Queen Vashti also gave a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes. So basically, let's dissect that. So remember how I was talking about in verse 3, how it was saying how he's putting on a banquet for all the royals and officials and like higher ups. So that higher ups banquet, that lasted 180 days. What day would it be in 180 days?
It's Monday, March 13th, 2017.
Oh my goodness. So that means if I started my banquet today, which is September 14th, that means March 13th, 2017 is when my banquet would end. The reason why he's doing this whole banquet thing is to show, honestly, how awesome he is. He's like, yeah, I'm the king. Yeah, look at all this. Look at all my marble in here. Look at all my awesome drapes, my gold couches, my silver couches. Like, look at all this wine I have. I have every single wine. He's like, I'm living lavish. Y'all are about to see it. So Xerxes is just like, come on in. And then after the 180 days are up, he invites the whole city. So like it says from the least to the greatest. So every single person is invited to come in his palace and just chill and party it up for a whole 7 días. So 7 days, they all come over and party and chill with him. And King Xerxes is like, I'm living lavish, I'm good. Like, you know how Kanye West loves Kanye West? Like Xerxes loves Xerxes, like Kanye West loves Kanye West. Maybe not that much love, but pretty close. Back then, it was very custom and very polite and very expected, and it's just like in the social norms that during these parties you would get drunk, you would get very drunk, and the wine would not stop flowing. Like that was common courtesy. It says right here at the end, it says, by the king's command, each guest was allowed to drink with no restrictions, for the king instructed all the wine stewards to serve each man what he wished. So the king told the wine stewards, hey, give the people as much as they want, and he said, people, drink as much as you can drink. And then in verse 9, it notes that Queen Vashti was also having her own banquet party for the women. So the king's having his party with all of his people, and then Queen Vashti is hosting for the women's party. Still recording? Thank God. Praise Jesus, because I would have been mad. Now it's verse 10-11. On the 7th day, King Xerxes was in high spirits from his wine. He commanded the 7 eunuchs who served him, Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethra, and Carcass, to bring before him Queen Vashti, wearing her royal crown in order to display her beauty to the people and nobles, for she was lovely to look at. King Xerxes right now, on the 7th day, he's done. Like, he's very drunk. Like, he's very drunk. Like, I'm talking Jersey Shore, Pauly D times 4 to the extreme. Like, he is out of it. So he tells his eunuchs. Now, if you don't know what a eunuch is, it's basically, okay, the eunuchs would, like, watch over the woman, and to be a eunuch means that you're castrated. So obviously he trusted the eunuchs around the woman because like they couldn't do anything to his woman. And he tells the eunuchs, listen, go to Queen Vashti, my woman, my wife, and tell her I want her to come back here with nothing but a crown on, with her crown, and to show off her body and to display it to the men and like kind of give a little show, because she was a beautiful woman. She was really lovely to look at. So Queen Vashti is very pretty, very gorgeous. God made her beautiful. King is basically telling the eunuchs to have her come, put on a show for his drunk friends, and kind of show off, being like, hey, look what I get to go home to every night. Verse 12. But when the attendants delivered the king's command, Queen Vashti refused to come. Then the king became furious and burned with anger. So Queen Vashti literally says no. Like, Queen Vashti refuses to go. She's like, no, I'm not going. So you best believe Xerxes is triggered. Like, all right, verse 13 through 15. Okay, Bible, I need you to relax. Since it was customary for the king to consult experts in matters of law and justice, he spoke with the wise men who understood the times and were the closest to the king. Karshina, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marcina, and Memucan, the 7 nobles of Persia and Media, who had special access to the king and were highest in the kingdom. Xerxes calls on his nobles. They were like the wisest people in Persia, like his like go-tos, his right hands, and he tells them, this happened, what do I do? Now, if King Xerxes is this drunk, you can pretty much presume that these wise men are also drunk. But let's just see how the story progresses. 16 through 18, it says, Then Mumakin replied in the presence of the king and the nobles, Queen Vashti has done wrong, not only against the king, but also against all the nobles and the people of all the provinces of King Xerxes. For the queen's conduct will become known to all women, and so they will despise their husbands and say, King Xerxes commanded Vashti to be brought before him, but she would not come. This very day, the Persian and Median women of the nobility who have heard about the queen's conduct will respond to all the king's nobles in the same way. There will be no end of disrespect and discord. This homie Mumakin stands up and says, you know what, if Queen Vashti just disrespected you, Xerxes, he's like, she basically disrespected every single noble and every single person who has a wife. Mumakin's thinking is, okay, if we don't make an example out of Queen Vashti and not let her example influence the other girls, we'll be fine. But if we don't make an example out of Queen Vashti and we let her example of disrespecting the king's orders get spread to the nobles' wives, we're gonna be screwed. So that's their mentality going into this. Verse 19 through 20, therefore, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, which cannot be repealed, that Vashti is never again to enter the presence of King Xerxes. Also, let the king give her royal position to someone who is better than she. Then, when the king's edict is proclaimed throughout all his vast realm, all the women will respect their husbands from least to the greatest. Mumakin is advising King Xerxes to be like, yo bro, put it in law, and not just any law, like this is a kind of law that can't be repealed. Like, so once the king signs off on this law and like writes this law, the law can't be taken back. And the law is Queen Vashti cannot be in your presence. So basically you have to get a divorce. She cannot be anywhere near you. Like, she's done. And that sucks for the queen because, she's living with the king and actually going to go from having everything to having nothing. Like, most definitely finished recording this and the camera cut off. So good. It's going to be okay. You know, maybe God was just telling me, hey, what you just said was garbage. So refilm. So here I am. So yeah, it kind of sucks for Vashti, but then again, God has a bigger plan, and if this didn't happen to Vashti, his plan wouldn't have played out the way it would have. It would have been different, and the way it is right now, it's awesome. And that's how Esther gets involved, but no spoilers till next week. And then Mumakin keeps going on. He says, also king, you need to find a wife. So we have to find you a wife that was better than Vashti and find you a new queen. And then Mumakin ends it by saying, this is the king's new order. Let's make sure everyone hears it, and that all women have to respect their husbands no matter how, from the least to greatest. So from the lowest of the lowest class, if you're married to that guy, you need to respect him, to the highest of the highest, which would be whoever married to King Xerxes, you need to respect him. So, last stretch, verses 21 and 22. The kings and his nobles were pleased with this advice, so the king did as Mumakin proposed. He sent dispatches to all parts of the kingdom, to each province in his own script, to each people in their own language, proclaiming that every man should be ruler over his own household using his native tongue. Xerxes is sitting there and he's like, yeah, sounds good. That sounds great to me. I'm good with that. He's saying, great idea, Mumakin. All the nobles are like, good job, Mumakin. Let's go. Let's get this passed. And so King Xerxes passes this law, and basically for every single person he was over, so all those countries I listed in the beginning of the video, which is a lot of people, a lot of places, a lot of land. Men, you are to rule your household, and women, you are to respect your husband's rule over the household. I don't know how I feel about King Xerxes. Am I a fan? No, not really. Because King Xerxes, he just like, okay, this part isn't funny, like this whole Queen Vashti thing, because that's pretty messed up what he did to her and like was trying to force her to do. I don't like that. But I mean, this man is low-key a young savage, because there's this one story about Xerxes. So basically he's taking his army or whatever, and they have to like cross like a big river or something like that. I don't really remember how it goes. Engineers were building the bridge over the water thing, and then a huge storm comes, and then it like takes all the progress that they made on the bridge and like collapses it. And so Xerxes gets so mad that he beheads all the engineers. Psycho. And then he like gets his army to flog the water, like to slap the water 300 times because the water didn't obey him and like brought a storm. Exactly. So basically that is where chapter 1 leaves off. Esther, to me, okay, this is actually a lot of books in the Bible for me. How I read them is I like to read them nice and slow, because I feel like it's like a Netflix show. Like, I'm getting a phone call. It's my father. He could wait. I don't like just breezing through Netflix shows because then once it's over, it's over. So I could easily do like 2 chapters a week on this and just put it into one video. But no, I want to savor it and make sure we go like really get the full story. So this will be 10 weeks long, but it's totally worth it. Maybe I'll condense a few, I don't know. But yeah, it's like a TV show that you don't want to end. And I just love the story of Esther. I think it's very entertaining. And yeah, I just love it. Next week, chapter 2, we will get into actually the Esther part of it, and it's going to be a great time. So make sure you come back. And yeah, make sure you share these videos because, I don't know, it's just cool for people to learn about God and just learn about the awesome stories that happened under his rule. It's just so cool. Grace and peace, and goodbye, fellas. Bugs Bunny, Bugs Bunny, Bugs Bunny, Bugs Bunny. Okay, we're done.